What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton, cycling, and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday, and today's video I'm a little nervous for, but I'm mostly excited. I'm going to be trying out Andy Speer'S Total Strength 60-minute classes. I feel like I've been working up to this since I've done the Total Strength 1 program with Andy Speer, which is a 4-week strength program on Peloton. And now I'm ready. I'm ready to get into the 60-minute classes. I know they're gonna be hard, but I'm excited. If you go under collections on Peloton, he has all of the Total Strength 60 classes grouped together, and then they actually break them into like different blocks, I guess, classes that like go with each other well. They're all kind of named like various vague things. So in my opinion, it's not super obvious like what the different blocks are good for. There's like Andy Selects, Just Lift, The Rock Block, Starting Block 2023. Like kind of vague. I'm interested to see how the classes go together, but I figured today I would try just a 2-class block because, you know, 60 minutes is intense. Obviously, I'm not going to do both classes today. I'll do them this week, one today and one in a couple days when I have recovered. But I figured I would do the power pair block. The description is, this complementary pair of classes is focused on developing power, strength, and conditioning through the dumbbell snatch, deadlift, and collection of body weight exercises. And I really like dumbbell snatches and deadlifts. We'll see with the body weight exercises. I'm very curious how this will be set up. You know, 60 minutes is quite long. I typically do a 30-minute strength class, but I trust Andy. I really liked his total strength program. So we'll give the 60-minute classes a try. Today's class is a 60-minute total strength class tagged intermediate from May 1st, 2022 by Andy Speer. The description is, build and maintain your strength in this weekly 60-minute class built off the foundational principles of the Total Strength programs. And there is a 6-minute warm-up and then 54 minutes of full body moves. I'm very curious to see how this goes. So let's go to the gym and knock out this first 60-minute strength class. I like that class, and I think the structure was pretty good, with the caveat that by the end I was definitely on the struggle bus. I feel like Andy kind of knew that though, and he structured it well. So we started off 6-minute bodyweight warm up, no real complaints there, got warm. I went in cold into this class and like, that was totally fine. I felt like the 6-minute warm up did its job. Then we got into a quick little bodyweight set, which this was actually one of my favorite sets. I thought it was interesting. We did like a couple single leg deadlifts, and then while we were in a single leg deadlift, we walked out to a plank, then went into a 3-leg downward dog, and then brought the leg that was up to our elbows. You do that move like a pretty decent amount in yoga, and then walked back up to the single leg deadlift stance, and then came back and did like 1 squat. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting, like definitely a big compound move, and I feel like it just helped warm up the body even more. We did that whole set for a minute on each side and then repeated it, so 4 times in total. And then we got into our first weighted movement, which was a dumbbell snatch. I used 20 pounds, and we did it on one side, and then we did push-ups where we were like doing a push-up and then like tapping our shoulder as we were pushing up, which definitely added to the hardness of a push-up. I did them on my knees the whole time because I just knew I wasn't gonna get form right if I didn't. But I did like that set. We did it 4 times, so 2 times on each side. Then we got into a deadlift set, which I also really liked. I went up to 25 pounds for the deadlifts, 30 seconds of deadlifts, and we held it at the bottom for like the first like 5 to 10 seconds, which I liked, kind of like getting into the form, really waking up the muscles. Then we just did normal deadlifts after that for the rest of the time. And then we did chest presses on our back. I went down to 20 pounds. 25 pounds would be like really heavy. Andy kind of said that you should be like using the same weight, but that's just not realistic for me. 20 pounds was a push. And we did the same thing where we held it at the bottom of a chest press for 5 to 10 seconds and then like went into the actual chest presses for the rest of the time. And again, woke up the muscles. We did this set 4 times, and then we kind of got into the big boy set of the class. The first 2 weighted sets I would consider like really pushing the weight. At least that's what I did. I feel like we had good amount of recovery, like pretty simple moves. And I also like that we alternated like legs and arms so you could like really push the weight. This third set, Andy said, was more muscle endurance. So he's like, don't like push super hard because we're going to do the set 4 times and like it's long. So we did goblet squats, then wide grip overhead presses, bent over rows, an overhead extension, and then bicep curls. I used 20 pounds for the goblet squat and a 20-pound weight for the overhead extension, and then used 15 pounds for everything else. And I feel like that was the appropriate weight for me. He is like kind of confusing because he's like, oh, you have like medium weights that are like on the heavier side, and then you have like light heavy weights. And I feel like I just knew like which weight I should use based on previous weight experiences. But I also think that you do this set so many times that if you don't pick the right weight the first time, you can like easily adjust later. And we did that set 4 times. There was pretty little recovery between the moves, like only around 15 seconds. And we did them for like varying amount of times depending on the set. Like the first time we did 30 seconds for everything, then 40 seconds, then 30 seconds, and then 45 seconds. And the 45-second last set was a doozy. I was very tired afterwards, but I think Andy knew that. At that point, we only had, I think, around 15 minutes of the class left. So we were done with weights at that point, and the rest was just like core and other body weight exercises. So we had a little core set then, where we did V-ups, Russian twists, and forearm side plank hip dips on each side. We did 30 seconds of each move and had no recovery in between the moves. Definitely not my favorite core set. Like I don't like when there's no recovery because I need recovery, especially for core. And then we had a 30-second rest and repeated that set again. You know, I was trying my best. I was pretty tired, but I don't feel like I did awful, but it was definitely not the perfect core set. And then at the end, we basically did some isometric holds and then also like some bodyweight movements to get the heart rate up. So we started doing a burpee for 20 seconds and then a split squat hold for 30 seconds. And he was pretty forgiving. Like he's like, basically do whatever you want for the burpee. Like he was like, you don't need to jump. You don't need to do the push-up. Just like do what you can. I tried my best. I didn't always do the push-up, but I did add in the jump. Like without weight, I didn't think it was too bad. And we did have a nice rest before the last set. So like I felt good. So we did a burpee, split squat, then repeated that with the other side. Then we did a mountain climber for 20 seconds and then a body weight squat hold for 30 seconds. And then we repeated that whole set again. And then we had a nice 30 seconds at the end where we did jump squats where I just did like normal bodyweight squats. Andy also said you could do that. That was one thing I really liked. He offered a lot of modifications, especially if the moves required jumping, because I am not a jumper. So I was happy that I was going to do it anyways, but it's nice when he like actually offers the modification as well. And then the class was over and I was very tired and my heart was very elevated because at the end we're doing all these like burpees and mountain climbers, we're getting the heart rate up. I mean, that was the point of this kind of like finisher set. Overall, I really liked it. And I felt like especially when we were doing the weighted work, like the first 45 minutes passed by very, very quickly. I like the little body weight set at the beginning. It was kind of very reminiscent of like yoga. I like yoga. I thought that was good. And then I liked when I was like really pushing the weights. That's kind of my favorite kind of way to work out. So the first 2 weighted sets were great. The third weighted set, I didn't think I would like, but I actually did like. It was a push. It was muscle endurance. I don't typically do a lot of weight classes that are like muscle endurance, so it was cool to like try something new. And I knew not to push the weight super hard, but it still felt hard at the end. I think I end up not doing a lot of muscle endurance because I gravitate towards like these split programs, and those don't have a ton of muscle endurance in them. and B, like it takes a long time. So having 60 minutes, I think that muscle endurance set took maybe over 20 minutes of the class, which was fine because we had 60 minutes. But if I'm taking like a 30-minute class, that would be hard to work in. So I can't appreciate the like 60-minute length. The core set definitely, brought down the vibe a little bit, but we got through it. And then like the end set was fine. I was just like very tired, but I feel like Andy knew that and structured it well, that the last 15 minutes were body weight. So overall, I would give this class enjoyability like a 7.5 out of 10. If it was just the first 45 minutes, I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. But that's the point of a 60-minute class. It's going to get harder and less enjoyable as you go, just because you get more tired. Difficulty, I would give like a 7 out of 10. I actually didn't find it that difficult. I felt most of the time he was giving good recovery, especially towards the beginning. So it felt like very manageable. I never felt like, oh, I can't do this, like I have to completely give up. A lot of the time when we were going in between sets, we had over a minute of recovery, sometimes even up to like 2 or 2.5 minutes. So I feel like you had some time to like reset and really get into the next set, which again is a huge benefit of having these longer strength classes. Definitely not something I'd want to do every single day, but it's definitely not designed to be done every single day. So I will take some rest days, but I'm very interested to see like how this works with the second class, and like if I do see that they seem like they were made to be taken like in a relatively short time frame together. It is now a couple days later. It's Friday morning, so I had 2 days of no strength. I wasn't sore after Tuesday's class, but I also was tired. I wasn't itching to get back into the strength until today, just because I know it's another 60-minute strength class, so I want to be ready to go, feeling good, which I do today. I'm excited to try out the second class in this power pair. It is a 60-minute total strength class, tagged intermediate by Andy Speer from May 8th, 2022. So he released this one 1 week after he released the first one. And the description is the same as last class. I expect this to be similar, but I really don't know what to expect with this pairing. So let's hit the mat and knock out class 2. I am very surprised because I really did not like that class. That's easily my least favorite class I've taken by Andy in quite some time. And I just really wasn't expecting it. I've been taking a lot of Andy's classes lately and I've really been liking him. And one of the reasons I like him is because one of the things that I look for in strength is simple moves, repeating the simple moves frequently and pushing weight. And I feel like his classes usually adhere to that kind of structure. Like even in the last class, there was body weight movements, but there were a couple of good sets where we could push weight really hard, have a lot of recovery, and then like kind of get more into muscle endurance and like the longer strength class. I know for a 60-minute class, you can't be pushing the weight the whole time. Like that would be too much. But I just feel like this class was such a 180 from the class that I took on Tuesday. I am not sure why they're in this like perfect pair together. I don't think they relate to each other at all. He doesn't reference last class at all. I don't know, just not a huge fan. And we were just all over the place in this class. So we did a 6-minute bodyweight warm up. That was fine, like no complaints there. Then we got into the first set, which was body weight, which I was kind of expecting because that's what last class was like, where we were in a single like deadlift and then we went into like a curtsy lunge and kind of like did that movement over and over again. And we alternated that with doing rotating T planks. So like, yeah, just being on a side plank on one side and then rotating to the other side. We like kept coming back to this move. And I think it's a fine move. It's just like, why do we keep coming back to this randomly later? We did that set 4 times and then we got into like the first weighted set, but I wouldn't really consider this like a super hard weighted set. He said to grab medium weights and we did wood chops, but only for 20 seconds on one side. And then we kind of did like modified skater where instead of going into lunges on both sides, you just did it on one side. So you're like in a lunge and then you'd hop to the side and like hop back really quick. So you were getting burnout on that one side. I think that set was fine. It wasn't anything great, but we did that set 4 times, 2 on each side. That was fine. Next set, we were supposed to grab heavy weights. I grabbed 20. We did do squats, so I feel like I could have maybe gone up to 25 for those, but now I know for next time, even though I will never take this class again. So we did 6 squats, and then we went down on our backs, and with the same weight, we did 3 chest presses and then 3 half Turkish get-ups. So basically just on the ground, like lifting all the way up with your arm that wasn't carrying the weight and then going back down, like that half of the Turkish get-up. I feel like this set was also just fine. Like it was kind of quick because we were just doing 3 on each side for the chest presses and the Turkish get-ups. And yeah, I just feel like we could have got into it a little bit more. Maybe I should have been pushing weight, but I don't think I could do the chest presses and Turkish get-ups with 25 pounds. Maybe could have been pushing the weight a little more on squats, but I just feel like I'd rather repeat those moves a little bit more and get a little more burnout than like constantly switching the moves with lesser reps. We did that set 4 times as well. And up until this point, like it wasn't my favorite class, but it wasn't like a bad class or a class I disliked. But then I feel like after this point is when things like really started going downhill for me. And I could recognize like when I'm kind of in a bad mood or like I don't like a class, and I try to like get out of that mindset because I still want to try to have a good workout. And like you could still get a good workout from this class, but I just feel like I really struggled like getting myself out of this like mindset that I'm like, oh, like I don't like this class, like basically I don't want to do anything. But this is what got me. So we had to grab medium weights and we were doing a complex. So we did 10 deadlifts, then 8 bent over rows and 6 bicep curls with like no breaks. So you had to use the same weight and you said to use medium weight. So I was using 15 pounds, but I just feel like 15-pound deadlifts like do nothing for me. And I love deadlifts, so I really wanted to push weight on them, but I was just like, you can't because you have to be able to do bent over rows and bicep curls. But besides that, like the set was fine. I just feel like the deadlifts were such a throwaway. And then we got a 15-second rest and then went into a different complex, which I actually really hated. It was like a prowler push-up, so you're like pushing back your hips and then doing a push-up, and then spider lunges, and then finishing off with like the T plank pose where we're like switching sides. And my issue here is that he like didn't tell us how many reps to do. Like basically he was like, do whatever you feel like. Like he's like, oh, if you want to do like 2 or 3 push-ups, like go ahead. And then like sometimes he skipped the spider lunges, but I think we were supposed to do them. But it was basically like, do whatever you want for the 45 seconds. Just do like some combination of those moves. And I do not like that. I like a clear goal. So I was just really not a fan of that complex. And we did that set 3 times and that just like took up a lot of time. And I was like, yeah, I'm like ready to stop this class, but we had to keep going. So then the next set was also kind of like a combo set, like the last one. This one wasn't as bad. We were basically doing like a sit-up where we would reach to 1 foot on the ground. Then we did single leg V-ups, and then we finished with windshield wipers, so like lifting your foot up and twisting it over. And I like windshield wipers. I don't even really feel like it's a core move. Like basically he's like, to feel it in the core, like alternate legs, like having them both up, and I felt it then. But besides that, it's mostly like a spinal rotation, which felt good. And then we got up, went into a split squat, and then with a light or medium weight, I used a medium weight, you like moved the weight around your front knee. And I've never done a move like that. I didn't really like it, but I did like feel the effectiveness, I guess. And then we switched to the other side and did the split squat on the other side. We did that set twice. I feel like that one was fine, but I was just like in a bad mood from the one before. So it was like hard to be getting back into it. And then we finished off with kind of just like muscle endurance is what he said. I was pretty tired at this point. Like we were lifting weights and this was already 50 minutes into the class, but we grabbed our light weights, and with both light weights, we did halo, then we did a lateral raise, then we did overhead shoulder presses, but basically we're supposed to like keep going for burnout and like very quickly. And yeah, even with 10 pounds, like that does get hard. Then we had a little bit of a rest, did a dumbbell squat still with our light weights, lateral lunges with our light weights, and then a body weight squat. And we repeated that whole set again. You did feel burnout. It's just not the kind of burnout I like. I mean, I know that there is benefit to doing like that kind of muscle endurance set, but I honestly wish it was a little bit earlier in the class. I just feel like I was like really tired. And then to be doing like all of these moves with little recovery and like trying to get high reps in, I just was not doing well towards the end of this class. And then in the last 2 minutes of the class, we just did dumbbell thrusters, like 20 on, 10 seconds off with the light weights again. So that was the class. I'm glad that it's over. I do think it's very interesting because it does feel like very different than other classes I've taken with him recently. And yeah, I'm just like not a fan of the constant like lighter weights but more reps. I know that that is like a way to build muscle, but it's just not really for me. And I feel like in the structure of a 60-minute class, it's not really what I wanted. But you know, we got through it. Difficulty, we did have like good recovery, and honestly I don't feel like we pushed the weights that much, but like muscle endurance is a different kind of difficulty, so maybe like 6.5, 7 out of 10. Like I never felt like the class was just way too hard to continue, but I feel like my motivation was struggling. Enjoyability, I'd give it like a 4 out of 10. I was not enjoying it. I think that my biggest issue is that like my expectations just weren't met. Like it wasn't a bad class. It's just that I expected something different. But then when those expectations aren't met, I'm like, okay, like I just can't pivot. I struggle with pivoting once I have in my mind what we're gonna do. So yeah, I'm very interested if you've taken this class, what you think. He also had mic problems during it, which was not that big of a deal. Like it was weird sound for like 2 minutes and then someone switched out his mic, but thought I would note it too because when it started, I was like, oh no, is the rest of the class going to be like this? But they did switch it out. Let me know if you've taken this class. If so, what you think. And if you've taken any of his other like 60-minute collections, I would be curious if you think there's any others I should check out. Honestly, I'm a little scared now just because this one was so different than the first one. But if anyone has solid recs, I would check out more. I do like the idea of having just like 60-minute strength days, really committing to it, and then like doing less strength. Like I feel like I could do 2 60-minute strength days in a week and be happy with that amount of strength in my week. But yeah, let me know if you take these regularly, how you work them into your workout schedule. I would be very curious. That is it for this video. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!